2015 to 2018 that may one day be seen as the golden age of investigative genetic genealogy, IGG. During this remarkable time, crimes long considered unsolvable were solved with relatively stunning speed, and criminals who had long avoided not just capture but even identification were suddenly named and held to account. Cold case files, long buried in dusty cabinets, were pulled out into the light and finally satisfyingly closed. The impossible suddenly was possible. Aside from the beginnings of forensic fingerprinting in the late 19th century and the start of DNA profiling in the 1980s, there had been precious few moments when detectives, FBI agents, and other crime fighters gained such a powerful edge over the criminals they hunt. And then, almost as suddenly as it opened, this extraordinary window of opportunity was very nearly shut. The full story of how this breakthrough came to pass, of how a small band of us applied startling technological advancements to active criminal cold cases, has never truly been told before. I am telling it now. What follows is an up-close, first-hand account of the cold cases that pushed the boundaries and changed the rules, as well as an exploration of what these cases reveal about human nature, about us. A parallel story describes how someone with no background in law enforcement and both feet planted firmly in retirement could somehow end up front and center in the one criminal cold case that most moved the needle, that generated thousands of headlines around the world, and that triggered perhaps the most significant ethical debate of our time, the case of the Golden State Killer. I learned about the Golden State Killer through his victims. It was Patrice, a nurse and newlywed, friendly and full of life, murdered brutally in her home in 1975. Patrice was 27 years old in 1975, the same age I was that year. There was Jane, a young mother bound and raped repeatedly in the home she shared with her 3-year-old son, who was in the house and tied up when the horrors occurred. There was Charlene, an interior decorator, discovered on her bed by her stepson, his skull crushed by a fireplace log. And many more, dozens of them, most about the same age I was during the rape and killing spree that spanned the 12 years between 1974 and 1986. After the last known crime in the spree, the killer vanished into anonymity, and the case went cold. So cold it remained unsolved and seemingly unsolvable for more than 30 years. But then, in 2017, his victims began to speak out to me through the pages of old newspapers that described the terrible crimes against them, but only guessed at the nature of their unknown assailant. A lurking, stalking monster who hid behind bushes and crept through unlocked doors and windows, crouching noiseless, quick to pounce, and now, so many years later, still only a shadow in the dark, still taunting and haunting those who survived his mayhem. I had no experience with or even knowledge of the existence of such evil in our world, and I sensed that joining in the pursuit of this man would take me to some very dark places, darker than anywhere I had been before. But I also knew that I wanted to help identify him. I was acting on an instinct ingrained deeply within me and reflected in so many pivotal moments in my life, the need to know what I do not know. When I was young and growing up in New Zealand, my mother referred to this instinct as my grasshopper mind, a restless, jumpy inquisitiveness, a tendency to examine issues from seemingly strange angles until I found a novel way to resolve them. This way of learning helped me succeed in my career as a patent attorney, and it has helped me solve cases in the nascent field of investigative genetic genealogy, including some of the most infamous, bloody, and baffling cold cases of all time. My personal traits and history are what brought me to this historic case at just that time, but I believe that all of us are to some degree natural puzzle solvers, curious about what we do not know and excited to unearth secret connections, investigators of our own lives. Some of you listening to this may share my interest in genetic genealogy and researching family histories, driven to crack the mysteries of your own ancestors and ultimately of yourselves. Some of you may be professional.